guys, today we are going to be doing another episode in my Married at First Sight. If you're new to this, I feel like it's always so weird to like introduce this series if you're new because it's like the most cheesy thing ever, but basically this series is inspired by the TV show Married at First Sight, and what the premise of the show is that basically experts get together and they kind of pair people together based on their, personalities and stuff like that, and then they end up getting married before ever having met, and they see if they end up being a perfect couple and married ever after. So we're going to marry two palettes today, so let's just go ahead and jump on over to my palettes and we can figure out what we're going to use. Welcome to my palettes yet again. As you can see, it's looking quite messy and not really that organized, but I think I have an idea for what I want to do for today's video, because like we talked about last time, or maybe it was in a different video, but I had this idea to pair the Subculture palette with the Juvias Deuce palette, so I think that's kind of what I want to do. Let's just kind of see what they look like together, if I can find a spot for you right there. And then we're going to find a Deuce palette, which I think is this one. Haha, did a pretty good job on that one. Let's see what they look like next to each other here. I feel like these would make a pretty good match. I mean, in a couple of ways they are kind of similar. So maybe they are a little bit too similar to go together, but I also just think that they would be kind of fun to work with. And they're also palettes that I haven't used in a very long time, so I think we're actually going to go ahead and choose these palettes. I know this wasn't like a very exciting, let's try to pick out two palettes to work together, but I think this is just what we're going to do. So I'm going to go ahead and grab these and get ready, and then we're going to get started. So the palettes have been chosen, and that was pretty simple. I mean, I kind of had an idea going into this what we were going to use today. So we are going to be using, like you saw, the Subculture palette by ABH. Everybody has seen this. I mean, does this need any explanation? I think not. So I'm excited. I really like the color story of this palette. I haven't personally had any issues with this formula. I'm pretty sure I have like the second version of this, like the reformulated version, because I didn't buy this when it came out, so maybe I just got lucky in that sense. And I also want to use the Deuce palette by Juvias, which of course you saw as well. This is a palette that I don't really find to be that inspiring as a standalone palette for me, because a lot of these shadows just don't really work that well together. Like, you can make very simple and ethereal and kind of easy looks with this if you don't want to like overthink it, which I always do. But if you want to do something a little bit out of the box, I find this palette to be a little bit just weird to work with. So we're going to pair these together. I'm excited. I'm going to go ahead and prime. I'm going to use let's use my Kaleidos eyeshadow primer. So like I've said before, I don't really like using this primer in my first impression videos, but since these are palettes that I've used many times before and this is not a review or anything like that, I don't really care what eyeshadow primer I use, so I just try to use whatever I want to use on the day, and also something that I like, but I don't know if I completely love it yet, which is kind of the case with this one. I mean, don't get me wrong, like I really like this primer, but with new formulas and stuff, I don't think I'll ever be confident enough to have this be my primer of choice. Let's see, which direction do I want to go in today? I'm kind of like looking at my outfit. I'm kind of wearing like a tealy green t-shirt and like bluey earrings, so maybe I should go with some of these teals. I actually have like some dips in these shadows. Like, do you see that? I didn't even notice that. Like, I feel like I never have dips in anything, but that just proves to you how quickly you can hit pan on ABH shadows because of how powdery they are. Like, you dip your brush into it and there's already like a crater. Like, it's just crazy. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna first decide which shimmers I want to use, I think, and then kind of build my mattes around that, because the shimmer options in these palettes are quite limited. Like, I feel like I either have to use like the bronzes in this. These two duochromes are kind of crap, if I'm being honest. Probably gonna just pop one of them in my inner corner, so this is the only shimmer that I have left. I just don't really like bronzes, you guys know that. I mean, it would go very nicely with like my earrings and kind of what I'm wearing today, but it's just not really my thing, and the shimmer formula in this palette is just so much better. And let's see, I kind of want to use this one. It's sort of like a silver. It's like a dark silver. Maybe if I pair these two together, but then I would almost have to do a green crease, which, is that really what I want to do? I could also do something with like pink on the lid. See, that could be kind of cute. If I'm gonna do pink on my lid, what do I want to do in my crease? I don't know. I need to just like think about this for a little bit. I should have been more prepared, but story of my life. So I kind of have a plan, I think, and I definitely want to use this pink because it is beautiful. So I'm thinking I want that to be my crease shade, and then I can maybe deepen it up with like All Star from the other palette here, which is kind of like a darker maroon shade. Maybe those could go nice together. So let's start off by doing that. So this is the shade Custard. So I'm gonna go ahead and just build this up in my crease as much as I am able to here. And I'm really packing this on because I do want a lot of pigment, and that's one of the things I like about Juvia's Place is that the shadows are pressed kind of hard, so you can really like dig your brush in there and get a lot out, or you can go in very slowly and build it up, which definitely means that the shadows are very beginner friendly and easy to work with. That's one of the reasons why I always recommend Juvia's Place. If people ask me like, if I want to start getting into colorful makeup, like where would you recommend me start? I always say Juvia's Place because their palettes are just so easy to work with, and I don't know, I just really like their formula. I've always liked their formula. I've always been very impressed by most of the palettes that I've tried from them. Of course, just like with any other brand, they have a couple of misses as well, in my opinion, but when you come out with as many palettes as Juvia's Place does, I mean, some shadows are just, it just happens sometimes, you know? Like, I don't think there is any brand where I love every single shadow from. But like, how beautiful is this? Oh, this looks so good. I think I'm gonna try to dip into All Star and just deepen this up a little bit here. Gotta be a bit careful. It's been such a long time since I have worked with the Subculture palette, so I don't really know what to expect anymore. But it is crazy to me that when this came out, like this was like the most powdery formula on the market. I have so many indie brands that have more powdery shadows than what my Subculture palette is. And it's just funny to me that this is like more of the norm now. At least when it comes to, you know, very pigmented shadows, which I feel like has become very popular lately. And that makes me so happy because I just love it. And that actually built up very nicely. I don't know how many of you watched my last Married at First Sight, but that one ended up being a disaster. I feel like today is going to go better. I mean, fingers crossed, because I have other things I need to film after. But so far, so good. I mean, as long as my crease is looking good, we're off to a very good start. So I think what I'm gonna do, I'm actually gonna do something a little bit fancy. I'm gonna go ahead and clean up this line here with a little bit of concealer. So I'm just taking a little bit of the concealer that I used on my face on a flat brush here. This is my Morphe M421. And I'm just gonna go ahead and kind of stamp that to make a bit of a sharp line going up here. I don't wanna drag too much because I don't want to move that shadow around. I think these are looking pretty even. I'm just gonna wipe off the excess on my brush here and just kind of tap this out. Just gonna use my finger on top as well, and then I'm gonna go over this with a little bit of a nude colored eyeshadow. And I also just heard a sound from the living room, so I think that my cat Churro knocked something over. Should probably go check on him to make sure he didn't break something. I swear to God, that cat just, he always causes trouble, and I just love him so much that I can never be mad at him. But the stuff that he gets away with, oh, to be a cat, you know? So I just went and checked on him, and he did knock something over. He knocked over our coffee bean bag. Thankfully, it wasn't open, so it was just on the floor. Not the first time that's happened. Okay, so I did go ahead and kind of set under where I cleaned up. And I think I just got these in the mail yesterday. These are the JD Glow Neon Liners, and I was thinking maybe I could use one of these to kind of draw a bit of a line underneath where I cleaned up, but let me go ahead and finish off with my crease first. So because I'm going to do that, I don't think I want to do anything like super crazy on my lid. I think I'm just going to grab this shade here, which is kind of like this darkish silver. Is there a name for something that's like a dark silver? That's not a taupe, because that has more of like a brown in it, right? I don't know. But I think that's all I want to do for my lid. I might pop something else in my inner corner, and I think I want to maybe do like a pop of green or something under my eye. But I'm gonna first go ahead and take some of my NYX glitter primer. I don't think I've ever used this with the Juvia's Place shadows. I don't think they need it. I mean, they're already so intense, but I just want to see like how much I can get out of these, because I know I already love them. So I'm just gonna kind of go ahead and do a half cut crease with this. I'm gonna grab the shade here called Mont Blanc, and I'm just gonna pop that over the whole lid where I put down that cut crease. So I feel like I need a little bit of something to like tie these two colors together because they're not really like blending into each other that well. So maybe I will take a little bit of that bronze shade. I know it's not really going to like go with this look, but I think as soon as it goes on the eyes, it's going to blend nicely into both of these. So I'm gonna grab Adorn here from the Subculture palette. And I'm not going to use a glitter primer or anything like that with this shade because I just want this to kind of mix these two colors together, because this one is a lot closer to that brown that I ended up creating in the outer corner, so it's going to blend easier into that. And it's a lot easier to blend a shimmer into a shimmer than a matte into a shimmer, so I think this is going to turn out being okay. So I hope you can see how much better the blend on the outer corner ended up being. Once I added that, you can see the difference here. And before we go to the lower lash line, I'm just going to grab a little bit more of the shade All Star, which we have in the outer corner, and just make sure that everything is blended nicely together here. So I think what I want to do under my eyes is I want to take the shade called Axis, and I want to kind of blend it out a little bit with the shade Edge, or maybe this one, which is called New Wave. I'm going to first start off with the green though. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of stamp a line here so that we still have a bit of a negative space. And then I'm going to use this as my guideline for where to put down the shadow. So maybe I'll use this on the outer portion of my lower lash line and then blend it out with one of the yellows on the inner portion. Just kind of going back and forth with brushes here to make sure I get the best application that I can and make sure that the brushes are doing what I want them to do. So I first went in with a flat brush just to get the shape down, and now I'm taking a pencil brush so I can help blend this out a little bit. So not the best blend ever. It's definitely a bit of a tricky shade to work with. Are these even? I think they're as even as they're going to get. So let's see, what do I want to do? Do I want to use any of these neon liners? I think I do. I just haven't decided which one yet. It's kind of like between the green and the pink, I think. I feel like the green isn't really going to go with the look. I could also go with the blue. That also wouldn't really go with the look. I think I'm going to use the pink one, and I'm just going to basically draw a line. I'll show you what I mean. I'm just going to make sure I shake this up a little bit. I have seen some people use these, and they're not super opaque. So I'm probably going to have to go in with a couple of layers, but I'm also not putting it over like a big surface. So here's what the applicator looks like. It's a very, very thin kind of brush tip applicator, I guess you would call it. So I'm gonna make a line basically where I clean up the line that I have in the outer corner of my eye. Now I definitely could have used my lethal liners to do this with, because I feel like their pink would be as intense and probably a little bit more opaque than this one, but honestly this is quite opaque. I'm not hating on this at all. I think this looks really nice. So lastly, I think to finish off, I wasn't sure what I was going to do on the lower lash line, but I think I'm just going to use a little bit of, I'm tempted to use a little bit of electric, just to see if I can get anything out of that. It might not really go with the rest, but I also feel like it's gonna go very nicely with the green. And also there is like that bronze on the top lid, which is kind of like a warm tone. So I think that we're gonna be able to make these work. I just wanna go ahead and try it, you know? I'm gonna spray this because I just want this to be nice and intense. And I'm just gonna pop that on the first portion of my lower lash line. This is kind of like a topper shade, so I think it's going to work kind of nicely for this. I don't think using this all over the lid would have been the best idea, but for just a little bit of an accent here and like an inner corner highlight, I think this is doing the job just the way that I wanted it to. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and finish off my eyes. I'll come back and we can do the rest of the face together. I really like this look. I'm excited to see what it's going to look like when it's all come together. Okay, so I went ahead and I finished off my eyes, and I have like so much color on my eyes now. I feel like this look is so crazy, but also so cool. In my waterline, I used Equalize from Lethal, and then I also put on my lipstick because I can never do lipstick on camera. I used the House Laboratories Le Monster Matte Lip Crayon in the shade Destroyer. I love these. I want to get more of them. They are so creamy and so easy to apply, and they dry down to a matte finish. I think that the formula on these are great. I don't know why more people aren't talking about them. Like I said, I want to pick up more of them. I want to get like some kind of a nude, because the only colors that I have is like bright pink and then this one, and they don't always go with any of my looks. But let's go ahead and finish off the face. I just have blush and highlighter left to go, so I figured I would use one from BH Cosmetics. This one is in the shade Fiji. It's kind of like a mauvey pink, which I feel like would kind of go with like my blush and my lipstick. These are extremely pigmented though, so I need to be a little bit light-handed with this before I go in with it, but oh man, is it beautiful. And I also forgot my freckles today, which, you know what? I'm gonna go a day without freckles because I don't want to get so addicted to them that I feel like I don't feel like myself if I'm not wearing them, you know? But this blush is so beautiful. It definitely has a bit of like a satiny finish to it. I'm gonna just go over this with my powder brush a little bit. And then for my highlighter, I want to use Cupcake Crush from Bitter Lace Beauty, which is this beautiful pink. Oh, it is so pretty. And I'm going to use my Kaleidos S1 brush. This is not a highlighting brush, it's an eyeshadow brush, but I use it for a highlighting brush because it is the perfect size for that for me. Just going to kind of go under the shadows here. Oh, look at that. Isn't that so beautiful? I love this. Oh, that is so pretty. I feel so cute in this look. I don't know. I feel like an outer space alien baby. Maybe not, but I don't know. I like it. Let me know what you think. As for the pairing of the palettes, I honestly feel like they paired very nicely together. I don't know how many like very unique looks I would be able to create with these two together, but I do feel like I got a really cool look out of this, and I think this is my favorite look that I've done in this series so far. Yeah, let me know what you think. I think that these should definitely stay married so far because this was a very good pairing. We had a very good first impression. We had a good wedding. So that's going to be it for this time's Married at First Sight. Let me know which palettes you want me to marry off next. I would love to hear your thoughts down below. Also, don't forget to check out the other episodes that I have in this series. I will have my playlist up on the screen. And if you're new, I would love it if you would consider subscribing. And I will see you in my next one. Bye.